Wind turbines, wind farms here in Henry County. Here's what you need to know in about 5 minutes. A lot has transpired in the last 15 months regarding wind turbines in Henry County, but even more has happened in the last 3 weeks. County supervisors have invited the people into the discussion to voice their take on what our lives would look like if the county approves ordinances that would allow industrial wind turbine operations in Henry County, and it's getting exciting.
We don't have an ordinance, we don't have an application, but yet these guys ran around handing out money. People didn't read the contract, they didn't talk to their neighbors. Something smells fishy.
But I keep coming back to, it's an agricultural ground. You bought the ground as farm ground, you inherited the ground as farm ground, farm that ground versus an industrial rezoning of a segment of that, because that's putting an industrial segment in everybody's backyard.
Thursday, we have a concise thing that he's presenting to P&Z so we can look it over and see if there's anything that we see differently than what we intended.
So if you want to help, here are some key points that we should all be united on. 1, these are not wind farms. A farm is defined as an operation managed by a local operator to grow crops or livestock. Look it up. These are industrial wind operations with incredibly large infrastructure and a footprint that will never go away. So when you're talking to your neighbor, just remember, we all know what a farm is, and we all know what industry is too. 2, these are not windmills. A windmill is a mechanical gearbox that converts wind into mechanical motion for work. Historically, these milled grain, pumped water from wells, or ran sawmills. What is being proposed are industrial wind turbines. And also keep in mind that what is being proposed is the largest wind turbine put on land. That's right, they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's a reason they want to put them in Henry County. We're untouched. 3, the ordinances. What is up for discussion now are the county ordinances. These ordinances are being proposed by people who are in favor of welcoming industrial wind operations, and yes, there are counties in Iowa who have welcomed them, but this is what your sunset will look like. And this is what your evening will look like too. You'll be shown beautiful scenes from aerial photography showing just a handful of industrial wind turbines just silently wisping away to a gorgeous, peaceful sunset. But they won't show you the testimonials of people who opposed them from the beginning.
We're Tammy and Joe McKenzie from Glencoe, PA. We live between Somerset and Cumberland, Maryland. Behind our home houses 68 wind turbines. And ever since the startup of the turbines, our life has been in turmoil due to the noise and the shadow flicker that is created from the wind turbine. And we wanted to make a video so that people would not have to be disturbed in a manner that we have been disturbed due to the issues and the problems that the wind turbines cause for us. Oftentimes, communities are approached by the wind industry to house a wind turbine on their property. And with that, they are given money in return for their lease. And with that, a lot of people they have a gag order placed on them so that they can't talk about the issues that are associated with the wind turbines. For us, we believe that our story needs to be put out there so that people know exactly what's going to happen, because had we known the ramifications of the wind turbines in such close proximity to our home, we would have had a choice to maybe voice our opinion in not wanting them to be placed so close to our home.
What's an ordinance, you might ask? Well, I'll show you. Here are just a few of the proposals that have been brought forward. This is one of the proposals for noise, that it should not exceed 50 decibels and some other criteria. In the event the noise levels resulting from the CWEX exceed the criteria listed above, a waiver to said levels may be granted by the Board of Adjustment upon recommendation by the Commission, provided that the following has been accomplished. Written consent from the affected property owners has been obtained, stating that they are aware of the CWEX and the noise limitations imposed by this ordinance, and that consent is granted to allow noise levels to exceed the maximum limits otherwise allowed. And if the applicant wishes the waiver to apply to succeeding owners of the property, a permanent noise impact easement shall be recorded in the office of the Henry County Recorder, which describes the burdened properties and which advises all subsequent owners of the burdened property that noise levels in excess of those permitted by this ordinance may exist on or at the burdened property. How about lightning? In the safety manual for the industrial machines, the trained technician is to remain 1 kilometer from the unit until the storm passes. That's 3,280 feet. But the proposed setback from a residence is only 1,760 feet, and in some counties, 1,000 feet. Shouldn't the setback be something like 3 times that distance from a residence? What about livestock buildings? We are a farming community. What about the danger to livestock? Should we consider them in the setback distance? In this study completed in 2014, researchers have shown that industrial wind turbines not only attract lightning strikes, they augment them. In fact, this graph shows that each wind turbine being proposed would likely augment around 2 lightning strikes per year per turbine. That doesn't sound like a lot. Well, considering our topography and that we currently experience on average 10 to 20 lightning strikes per year, this would increase lightning activity on our county to 120 to 180 more strikes per year. That's an 800 to 1,200% increase in a potentially life-threatening meteorological event. They got them grounded. What's the big stink, you worrywart? Sure, but when this study says that one wind turbine in Japan was struck by lightning over 100 times in a year, it's reasonable to take into consideration all safety measures and give the people their say on how far these should be placed from their homes. 5. Land usage. There's a discussion about, I can do whatever I want on my property. I got rights. You're correct. It may be your land, but you also have neighbors, and our ordinances provide a way for surrounding neighbors to give their input on proposed projects if it adversely affects them. And guess what? This might be the map of those who favor wind turbines, but this is our map. We have a voice, and we encourage you to use yours. Please join us in making our voices heard to defend our community and defending our sunset. Please write to the Henry County Supervisors and the Henry County Planning and Zoning Board and tell them why you don't want to see these industrial machines put so close to the home we love, where we can raise our children and their children and their children without hearing and seeing this for the rest of our lives.